No one is perfect with money. Let me say that again for the folks in the back. No one is perfect with money. We all make mistakes in finances and in life, but mistakes are how we learn, grow, and improve. Mistakes help us know what not to do in the future, and mistakes can flip the script and change the course of our lives. In this episode, I'm sharing 5 reasons why you should stop blaming yourself for your past money mistakes and how you can leverage your mistakes and experiences to move forward and come out on top. Now, before I get into the 5 reasons to stop blaming yourself for past money mistakes, I want to share some of the mistakes I've made over the years. I want you to know that I have not always been good with money, and I have struggled in the past, and the struggle was real. That way, you know that I know what it's like to feel bad about your money situation. I'm not someone who's never struggled or never had problems or made mistakes with money. I have been there, I've gone through the trenches, and I want you to know that you're not alone in the fact that you make money mistakes. We all do. So some of my past money mistakes include impulse spending and accumulating material things just to keep up with the Joneses and to feel that temporary high of buying something. I have had tens of thousands of dollars of credit card debt, and after paying off tens of thousands of dollars of credit card debt, I accumulated a second round of tens of thousands of dollars of credit card debt. I have made the mistake of not paying my rent money on time to the point where I had a pay in 3 days or get out eviction notice. I made the mistake of using my rent money to take road trips with my girls. I have made the mistake of using bill money to go to the casinos in Palm Springs. Now, I will admit, at this point in my life, I was not using rent money, but I was still using bill money. I have made the mistake of charging vacations on credit cards with no idea, no concern of how to pay it back. And even more recently, I have made the mistake of spending extra money to set my business up to scale only to have a retraction of revenue. So even to this day, I make mistakes with money, but I no longer blame myself and I don't talk bad to myself. I learn from those mistakes, and I want you to do the same. So let's get into 5 reasons to stop blaming yourself for past money mistakes. First, you can't change the past. Seriously, what good will it do to blame yourself for something you can't change, for something you can't take back? This is something that I help my clients with quite often because especially early on in our coaching sessions, I always hear a lot of, if I just never would have done this, or I should have never done that, or why did I do this? If I would have only done better, and I always go back to, hey, we can't change it. Don't should on yourself, right? I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Don't do that to yourself. We can't change it. We can only move forward. Thinking about the past does no good. You can't change it. Blaming yourself for something you can't change is a losing battle. Now, I am not saying to let yourself get away with bad behavior, but there's a difference between holding yourself accountable and not letting go of the blame of something you can't change. Okay, so learn from your past mistake, but don't continuously blame yourself for something that you can't change. Decide to move forward accordingly, and that is going to be the best result for this situation. If you have made money mistakes in the past, remind yourself that what is done and vow to do differently in the future. That is the best way to turn things around. Now, another reason to stop blaming yourself for past money mistakes is that mistakes can be learned from. Every single one of those past money mistakes I listed earlier, I've learned from. Now, sure, I had to learn multiple lessons of a similar mistake, and that's why I had multiple mistakes that were the same essentially, but you better believe now that I'm older and wiser and more experienced, I do not make the same mistake twice. I learn from my mistakes. I understand what I can do differently, and I move forward accordingly. So, learning from my past mistakes, I get to think back to what I needed to learn and why I had to go through those experiences to learn what I needed to learn. And I use that as information to help me move forward. So let me take an example. I learned that paying off credit card debt doesn't mean much if you don't fix the real reason why you got into debt in the first place. Hence, that's why I got myself into debt a second time. Okay, so the first mistake I made was getting into credit card debt. Then I paid that credit card debt off. And then my second mistake was I didn't fix the real issue of what got me into credit card debt. So paying it off clearly wasn't the problem, right? I paid the credit card debt off, but I didn't address what got me into debt into the first place. And so I got into debt a second time around. So instead of blaming yourself for your past money mistakes, take a look at those scenarios, go back in time, take a look at those scenarios, and pinpoint the lessons that need to be learned from them. I promise you, there is something to learn. And just know that sometimes, like me, you have to go through multiple iterations of the same mistake until you come out with everything you need to learn. I've been there. I understand it's not fun, but until you've learned everything you need to learn, that mistake may continue to happen just in different ways. Moving on, another reason to stop blaming yourself for past money mistakes is that those mistakes are what build character and resilience. I know this may sound corny, but it's true. The mistakes you make build your character, build your resilience. Failure and mistakes and upsets and disappointments all build resilience. They build character. They show you what you are capable of overcoming. And I want to add that this stems outside of money. Okay, so listen to episode 101, Adversity Breeds Resilience. I'll link to it in the show notes, but mistakes in life are what breed resilience and build character. So not just with money, but in terms of money mistakes, those mistakes are designed to show you that you can pick yourself back up. You can go from the worst year of your life financially to the life of your dreams. You can become stronger and build more armor when it comes to handling your money. And the more that you embrace your past failures and mistakes with money, the more you can actually build a strong foundation for your future money decisions. So instead of just blaming yourself for everything you did wrong, understand that those mistakes are what build your future foundation. Those mistakes build character and build resilience and show you what you're capable of going through. So before you talk bad to yourself, just remember that. Fourth reason to stop blaming yourself for past financial mistakes is because of this. The mistakes you've made up until this point have shaped the path you're supposed to be on. And I know this also probably sounds corny like the last reason, but just hear me out. I am a firm believer in the notion that everything happens for a reason, whether it's good or bad. Sometimes we know the reason and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we learn the reason later and sometimes we'll never know. All of the mistakes that you have made with your money up until this point have led you right here to listening to this podcast episode. That was meant to be. I firmly believe that. Those mistakes that led you to your current job, your current side hustle, your place of living, your account balance, and so on and so on and so on, it was meant to be. Everything that you went through was to lead you to this point right here. Whatever your situation looks like, whether things are where you want them to be currently or not, you're supposed to be exactly where you are. And once you embrace that fact, accept that that is the reality, it makes it so much easier to let go of that blame and trust God, trust the universe, trust whatever you believe in, that whatever you believe in has led you to exactly where you need to be. So knowing that, just accepting that truth, accepting that fact, knowing that, what do you need to do next to get where you ultimately want to go? Just some food for thought. All right, final reason to stop blaming yourself for past money mistakes is you are human and humans make mistakes. Now, this is a hard one for me to accept and understand because my type A Virgo personality wants everything to be perfect. But I have learned long ago that it will never be perfect. I have learned that things will not go according to plan. I have learned that you can have everything mapped out down to the wire, down to the penny, but it will not always work like that because we don't know the future. Things that are out of our control happen, and we have to learn to adjust and maneuver. So things will just never go according to plan, but regardless of imperfection or failed plans, things will work out. Everything that happens, like I said, is leading you exactly where you need to be. So everything that's happened up until this point needed to happen so you can be where you are, and so you can recognize that and figure out where you need to go next. Again, it may not go according to plan, but if you have your eyes on the prize, if you have a vision of that end result, you can do everything in your power to get there. I stated this earlier, but I need to state it again. No one is perfect with money. We are all a work in progress, and while some people may be further along than others, it doesn't mean any of our work is done. Okay, so just because I'm on this level doesn't mean that I'm done, right? I have more levels to reach. Just because you are at the level you're at doesn't mean you're done. You still have more levels to reach. Just because Warren Buffett is at the level he is doesn't mean that he doesn't have new levels to reach, right? We are all a work in progress, and none of our work is done. And by the way, it's okay to be a work in progress. If you have feelings of, well, if I hadn't done this, I'd be further along, or I wish I didn't do that, I want you to tell yourself that you are working on forgiving yourself for those things, and you are a work in progress. Seriously, anytime you have a thought of, I wish I didn't do this, I should have done this better, I could have done this better, I should be further along, tell yourself you are working on forgiving yourself for everything that's led you to this point, and that you are a work in progress. Speak kindly to yourself. It will absolutely pay dividends. We are human. We are going to make mistakes, but we have to give ourselves grace and make it a point to learn from each and every mistake. I believe that is the key to improving and getting to a place where we truly love the life we have, giving ourselves grace, learning from the mistakes, and making it a point to always do better, to always work for more. Here's to letting it all go, releasing the blame and trauma you have from your past money mistakes, and learning from them and accepting that you are exactly where you need to be and working through figuring out where you need to go next.